The podcast you are about to listen to is an account of the movies which befell a group of horror fans, in particular, Tara Garwood and her intrepid friend, Matt Lolich. Had they lived very, very long lives, they could not have expected, although they would have wished, to see as much of the mad and macabre as we are to see in those movies. For them, an idyllic summer movie became a nightmare, and they loved it. The movies that they watched were to lead to the creation of one of the most terrifying podcasts in the annals of American history. The Scary Movie Project.
Hey, everybody. This is the Scary Movie Project, that podcast where we talk about scary movies. I'm Tara.
Hey, I'm Matt. Did you know, Tara, that before you die, you see? Says the tagline of the 2002, I'm going to
What do you
call
see?
it.
What do you see?
Well, you have to watch a tape first, and I suggest you not do. But that's the tagline of our topic tonight of the 2002 film, The Ring. This is not the original Japanese Ringu movie. This is not Ring Part 2 or Part 800, whatever they made of them. This is the original. The American original, I should say,
Mhm.
from
The one with Naomi
2002,
Watts.
With Naomi Watts, yep. So the first thing I say about this is the second time I saw it after it came out on whatever DVD, whatever it was back in 2003. And I think my thoughts of it were a little different each time. I think maybe I enjoyed it a little more this time.
Okay, good. I'm glad.
But I don't love it. And I also not really sure it's a solid actual horror film. I'm really not sure about that.
I'm not sure I see that, but
yeah.
okay, we'll get into that after we go through the movie. But the first thing I want to say is this was requested by a listener who is very near and dear to our hearts.
Good.
She is the first listener who sent us an email.
All right.
And this is for Amy. Thank you, Amy, for listening. Thank you for the awesome email conversation we had. We're really glad you're a listener. And we're glad you asked for The Ring so that we could review it for you.
There you go. After 15 years, I had to watch it again. So
yeah, 15 years later.
More like 17 years, really, but
18.
Yeah, okay. We keep going, but we're close enough. We'll stick with 15. Anyway.
And we weren't alive to review it then, obviously. No. We are such babies. We weren't even around. How could we have reviewed it in 2002? No. So this was directed by Gore Verbinski.
Not Gore Vidal.
Not Gore Vidal. Not Gore Vidal. No, not Count Gordeval.
Yes.
Or
Al Gore. Have you met him at Monster Mania before?
I actually grew up knowing his family.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's even Count Gordeval's family. We went to church with them. I went to his house for Independence Day one year when I was a kid.
Wow.
I got stung by a wasp there and discovered that wasps give me anaphylaxis at his house.
That's not good.
So I have a very, very
I was going to say, that's much cooler than just
Gordeval.
Saying you met him somewhere. Yeah, that's a lot better.
And for those of you who are not from the Washington, D.C. area, Count Gordeval was our local horror host. And he still frequents, at least last time I went to one, he was still going to the horror cons.
That's impressive.
If you get a chance to meet him, he's wonderful. He's a very personable, very sweet guy.
Yeah.
And he will likely be dressed up as a very traditional vampire.
That's his outfit.
So we're totally off topic, but Count Gordeval, yes, we love Count Gordeval.
We're glad we got him in.
He is wonderful. And he's really sort of an antecedent to horror podcasts. So I feel like he's kind of part of our lineage.
Yeah, okay.
So back to the movie, The Ring, which is the movie that we just are reviewing today. This was based on, as Matt mentioned, the Japanese movie Ringu, which was based on the book
Right.
by Koji Suzuki.
Right.
So this, I really want to read the book now.
Yeah, no, I did back when I saw it too. I want to read every movie is based on a book or a short story, right? So I would
and
like
I
to read
understand the
every.
book has some very specific differences, which we can talk about at the end too. But yeah, I'm really interested to one, see the Japanese movie because I haven't seen Ringu.
I know. I sadly have not seen it either. I feel bad that all this time and I've never seen it. I know.
So I want to see that, and I want to read the book now.
Yeah.
Because I had seen, you were saying you had watched it, 15 years ago or whatever. I had seen little pieces of it. And it turns out when I watched it that I had seen several little pieces of it, but I'd never seen I'd never sat down
Saw the whole thing.
just watched the whole thing.
Right.
So yeah. So, okay, shall we just dive in? Let's do this. As I ask every time, should we just do this? Yes,
I haven't said no.
guys.
So go
you
ahead.
know how it works at this point. So we get first. I love this in the opening. When they're showing the production company's names during the DreamWorks logo, the ring flashes on screen.
Yeah.
So I like that. They do. I like when horror movies do fun little things like that.
Sure.
Gets you in the mood early.
Sure.
So we open on two teenage girls watching TV, and one is complaining about TV being bad for you, which, is kind of part of I think the message in this whole movie. But the other one tells her the story of this videotape that kills you when you watch it and you'll die in 7 days. And that's Becca who tells the story of it. And Katie says, the first teenager who complained about TV being bad for you, says, no, I watched it with Josh last weekend. I've seen it. And she pretends to die in Becca's lap.
Right.
And then the phone rings and Katie gets really, really scared, like unreasonably scared. And Becca looks at her and says, there really is a tape. But it's not the phone call that you get after seeing the tape. It is Katie's mom. Which, by the way, have we talked about tapes yet, guys? For those of you who are little tykes, were little tykes when this came out.
Yes, everyone knows what a VHS tape is.
Do we know what a VHS tape is? Let's make sure. If you need to, you can pause right here and go
Wikipedia VHS tape.
Wiki, or go Google, give it a goog, as they say on one of my other favorite podcasts. Give it a goog. Figure out what a VHS tape is.
I hope everyone listening to this has at least some idea of that, please. Anyway, but
well, we were talking about that watching it. My husband and I were like, there's not videotapes anymore. TVs don't go to static anymore.
The national anthem at midnight to sign off.
The national anthem at midnight. That doesn't happen. None of that stuff happens anymore. So anyways, the phone rings. It turns out it's Katie's mom. But when she hangs up, the TV turns on to static. And Katie turns it off, turns back on, and she turns it off. She unplugs it finally, and then she sees a reflection on the screen. So it's like our first little jump scare. I'm sorry, not Katie, Becca. Becca's the one who answers the phone and is downstairs. So Becca then goes back upstairs, and she sees water on the hallway floor. And she opens the bedroom door, and the TV is on. Cut to Naomi Watts, or Rachel Keller, picking her son up late from school.
In rainy Seattle.
Let's talk about Naomi Watts for a moment here.
So she has one of these folks who got us, as many of these actors have got a start in horror films. I think she was in one of the Children of the Corn movies back in the day.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
I think that's where she started. She was Tank Girl, or she's in Tank Girl right now. She's not Tank Girl. She's, what's her face? Is Lori Petty's Tank Girl.
No, yeah, Lori Petty's Tank Girl.
She's in Tank Girl. That was big. And she's been in, she was in King Kong, I think, right? Remake?
Yeah, and she was in Mulholland Drive.
Oh, which I'm not going to get started on that movie.
That's her.
But yes. Oh, yeah. She's the amnesia woman, has amnesia, right? Yeah. Okay. Yep.
So even with all this, she wasn't even close to, I think she's from New Zealand. I think but she wasn't even close to the first choice for this.
Oh, who would they want?
They wanted Jennifer Connelly.
I can see that.
I can totally see that. But then
Okay.
then they went to Jennifer Love Hewitt,
No,
Gwyneth Paltrow,
so that's the same kind of thing to me, though.
and
also.
Kate Beckinsale
See, to
before
me,
they came to Naomi Watts.
when I see Naomi Watts and Gwyneth Paltrow, I kind of see as one, and then I kind of see Kate
Really?
Beckins. I don't see a huge difference between the four of them. Like, I don't know, but I think Jennifer Connelly would have worked really well on that.
I think Jennifer Connelly could have worked really well. I feel like the other three, I'm like, really?
Gwyneth Paltrow wouldn't have
Naomi's
done
better
it.
choice than
She would have been too snobby and said she's not doing some dumb horror film. She wouldn't have done it.
Gwyneth Paltrow?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't
Wouldn't
think
have
she
done
would. But I don't think any of them would have been really right for it either.
It's
in
hard.
a way that Naomi
hard to
Watts
say.
did.
It's like when you read stuff like that and then you look back at the movie and you know it so well and you think, oh, what if so and so had played this person?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's always something to think about. But
Yeah,
whatever.
Jennifer Connelly's the only one I can really see hitting it out of the park.
Yeah, she would have been good.
So anyways, Naomi is playing Rachel Keller, who's picking her son up late from school. Her son Aiden, his cousin.
So can we just say
wait.
Real quick that kid is just like that kind of just like insert strange creepy kid. He's like 7 years old, but he's like 20, really, like, you know, he's like too mature.
It's
for
like
his
there's
age.
a cutout in the image that's just like insert creepy, overly grown up young child here.
I mean, you look at this kid, I don't even need him to talk, and you know right away it's this like token kid who's supposed to be scary in this movie. Yeah, exactly. I mean, they went there for sure.
Yeah, he's definitely he's
he's frightening.
This little very grown up, very serious young boy.
He's like 7.
Who understands more than he really should at that age.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
So they definitely use that formula.
So he was very close with his cousin Katie, and she died a few days ago. And yes, we will find out it is that Katie. We don't know it yet for sure, but we will find that out. And he's been drawing her or some girl in a grave and stuff like that. So the teacher wants to talk to Rachel about that.
And I love when she's coming in, she's on the cell phone just cursing somebody out as she's walking down the hallway. In the school to pick up her kid, and just like, okay, this is a great first impression you make, clearly.
Yeah, she's clearly not mom of the year.
No.
So she says, so when the teacher shows her these drawings, she says like, well, yeah, I mean, his favorite cousin just died. And she said, no, Aiden drew these pictures last week.
Right. Yeah. She says, she died like 3 days ago. Oh, yeah. These are drawn last week or something. Right.
Yeah. These were drawn like
dun, dun. Oh, man.
Dun, dun, dun. What's going on? So at home that night, Rachel tucks Aiden into bed. And that's when he tells her that Katie knew when she was going to die.
I would not want to know that.
Which is example of creepy kid being creepy number 1.
Yes.
Well, number 2, because number 1 was drawing the creepy picture.
Well, yeah, that's a interesting deal there.
So yeah, creepy kid is creepy and tells her that his cousin knew when she was going to die. They go to the funeral. That's when you actually see like the picture of Katie. It's her.
All right. So is this now at the part where we have the cut to scene of her friend finding her in the closet? Have we talked about that yet?
Yes.
Okay.
This is so Rachel. So at the funeral, Rachel talks to her sister Ruthie about what happened.
Right.
And the sister Ruthie, Katie's mother, is like, well, her heart just stopped beating, but it doesn't make sense. And that's when we see this flashback of the mother finding Katie in the closet.
So, okay. That's one of those, I mean, I watch these movies all the time, but every once in a while, one of these does something and you see a scene like that and you just kind of go, oh no.
And you're
like
saying you're trying to argue this is not actually a horror movie.
So that my argument is not like hard. I'm not trying to go to court here on this thing. I'm just bringing it up. Mm-hmm. That scene though with her in the closet, that was one of those. This is now in my head, burning my brain for the rest of my life. Yes.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh man, I did not like that image, but it was great at the same time.
All I can say is thank God I don't have an eidetic memory because I don't want that in my head forever. It will fade.
Oh, and oh no, wait, not for me. And speaking of the good comparison, Naomi Watts in 2 movies that have the scariest scenes in them. This one with her in the closet,
Mm-hmm.
and in Mulholland Drive, the homeless guy that lives behind the diner. When that dude comes out from behind the building, I thought I was going to need like psychological counseling for the rest of my life after I saw that man. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, go YouTube scary guy behind building in Mulholland Drive. He will haunt your nightmares for years.
Better yet, just watch the whole movie.
No, don't, because
really
it's a most disturbing, strange, doesn't make sense.
I love it.
It makes no sense.
So good. Anyways, okay.
No sense.
That is not the movie we're talking about.
David Lynch, you rock. Twin Peaks is fantastic, but Mulholland Drive is I don't even know what it is. But anyway, please.
I love it. I love it. So they're at the funeral. And at the funeral, Katie's friends, I think they're outside smoking, and Rachel goes outside and she starts talking to them because she's the cool mom.
That's right.
I'm not a regular mom. I'm a cool mom. And Katie's friends tell Rachel about the tape and that Josh died the same night as Katie. Katie's the boy that Katie was seeing, who also watched the tape. So now she's starting to be like, well, that's weird.
And she is a journalist.
And she is, as we'll
find out
shortly,
or whatever,
a journalist. So also during the funeral, Aiden goes up to Katie's room. He sees something in the mirror.
Yeah, he's being all weird and just being the weird kid that he is.
Yeah, he's being the weird kid. Rachel goes up after him, and she's like, what are you doing up here, whatever. But she looks at Katie's notebooks, and she sees that Katie's been cutting photos of women from magazines and scratching their faces out.
Yeah, that's weird.
And then she finds a ticket for photo printing.
Oh, right.
Which is, again, for the youngsters, a thing that we used to have.
Hey, you can still have photos developed if you want.
That's true. You can have, but you already have seen it. It used to be that you didn't see the photo.
No. In this
you could see it on the back of the camera.
The digital camera, right. They had digital cameras.
But she had a ticket to get them actually printed out.
Right.
But it wasn't a digital camera. It just had a digital viewfinder. So you couldn't just have the digital photos to look at.
Right.
So all the kids in one photo, she gets it printed.
Right.
All the kids in one photo have their faces all screwed up. I think it's like weird. 4 kids. And that's when Rachel goes to work, where we learn that she's a reporter. And she finds out that they all died at 10 p.m. on the same night. But the thing I love about this scene where she comes into work and is discovering this is when her boss comes in.
You're fired. No, I'm not.
No, I'm not.
No, really, you are. No, I got a great story going right now.
Oh, not with the story I got going. Right. She's like, not with the lead I got going. You're not firing
do
me.
Whatever I want, really, yeah.
And that's literally like all it is with her boss. Like that's the whole of her boss's role in the movie. And it's so good.
I love it.
It says so much about her as a person.
Pretty much.
Just like, you're fired. No, I'm not.
I'm going to get what I want, and you're going to get out of my way.
And he just kind of looks like, okay.
Whatever.
What are you going to do?
Right.
So Rachel goes now to Shelter Mountain Inn, which is where the kids had been watching the VHS tape. So she rents the same cabin to take a nap.
And of course, it's your stereotypical creepy cabin from a movie, right?
Oh yeah, but this is another scene I love. She goes and she's talking to the guy who runs the inn, and he does the card trick with her, and he tries to guess her card, and he sucks at the trick.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's just one of those things where it's like,
doesn't he ask her at the end, is this it? And she's like, you got it.
She's like, you got it. And you're like, no, he didn't.
Right. No.
You're like watching her face. You're like, he didn't get it. She's just being nice.
But she made him so happy. He was probably so happy though.
But it's just one of the things that I like about this movie is that all these little characters, like they're all sort of the boss,
right.
The guy who runs Shelter Mountain Inn, like they all have these little real worlds that they're inhabiting. It's just really well done. So while she's in there getting the key to the cabin, she sees that he has all these tapes that people can take with, it's a little lending library for videotapes.
Right.
So she sees that there's an unmarked one. She grabs that one and takes it to watch it, because I guess she thinks that might be the one. And then she watches it, and it's this series of all these different weird and uncomfortable things to see, bizarre images, perfect way to put it. And at the end of the tape is a tree that is the tree outside of the cabin. And that tree is a Japanese maple, which I have in my front yard.
They're very beautiful trees.
They're gorgeous trees. And apparently this one was not actually real, which I never would have guessed.
Okay.
It was built out of steel tubing and plaster, and they used red silk for the leaves.
Oh, cool.
And I love this part. The crew apparently called it Lucille after Lucille Ball.
They named the tree. Okay.
They named the tree Lucille, and they kept, they had to put it up several times, and they kept putting it up and it kept getting knocked over. I guess because, it's not a real tree. It's like,
Right.
It's lighter than her. So they kept having these like 50-mile, 60-mile-an-hour winds that would like knock it over.
You think they'd be able to trust that a little better, but okay.
But yeah, the tree's name is Lucille, guys.
Lucille,
just so you know.
Maybe it's the director saved it and it's somewhere hanging out in his basement or something now.
Oh my God, I so would. I still have. Actually, I think my mother-in-law in their house, they have the tentacles from the sea monster in my short movie.
Ooh, those were cool.
Someday they'll come out again. So she finishes watching the tape. The phone rings.
Yep.
She picks it up and a young girl's voice says, 7 days.
I'd be very upset if that happened to me.
Yeah, I feel like whether I
happy.
watched a scary movie or not, like something scary, or if nothing else happened and just out of nowhere one day the phone rang and some girl said 7 days, I would lose my shit.
Or at this point in my life, I'd assume it's someone who knows me and is just screwing with me, basically. But yeah, if not, I would definitely be frightened.
Yeah, nobody would do that.
No one would play a joke on me like that, would they?
Certainly not.
But anyway, in this case, yes, I would have been very weirded out.
Yeah, I would be weirded out. So then we get the title card of day 1.
Like The Shining,
right? So from here on out, we'll get title cards for like each day.
Right.
So Rachel shows the photo to her friend Noah, who it took me probably too long to realize that he's her ex-boyfriend and the father of her child.
I didn't know it till they mentioned the movie.
Yeah, like you don't know it right away, but I feel like it took me too long.
And I don't know
start gluing in
how important in the end it really becomes, but whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think it's more about it's important to their relationship and it gives them a relationship that sort of evolves throughout the film, I think. But she shows the photo to Noah, asks him to take her photo, and her face is distorted.
Yeah, that was weird.
So she isn't sure if she should show him the tape, but she does anyway. He doesn't believe any of it, she shows him the tape anyway. And I love this. While he watches the tape, she stands at the window of his loft and watches all the people across the street.
Yeah, and she sees
in their windows,
and the camera moves to different balconies and stuff like that. Yeah.
I mean, first of all, it's a really awesome shot. It's really just well done the way they move from window to window.
Yeah.
But every single person is watching TV.
Yeah.
And better yet, I don't know if you noticed this. Did you notice that one of the guys is in a wheelchair? He has his leg in a cast.
Kind of like
Rear Window.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, so it's got to be a Hitchcock movie, Rear Window.
I don't know that I thought of that at the time, but when you started saying it, it made me think of it.
Okay, yeah, but I don't think they did that on accident.
That's pretty cool.
Done on purpose.
That is cool.
So he finishes watching the tape. The phone rings, but they don't answer it. Noah's not scared. He doesn't believe it.
He doesn't.
And after he leaves, I guess he's at her house, I guess.
Yeah, they're at her house. They're at her house.
He's at her place. So after he leaves, she sees that there's a voicemail on the phone and she deletes it without listening.
Right. So would the demon person calling you to tell you that you're going to die leave you a message? Would they be courteous enough to do that?
I don't know. Or would it call his phone number because he's the one who watched it, even if he's at her house?
I don't know.
Like, does it call where you are, or does it call your actual phone number? Maybe that was somebody else And she's like never going to get that message that she should have come and picked up somebody or
Right. Or, your dry cleaning is ready or something.
right, your dry cleaning's ready.
You can come pick up whatever
I
it
was
is you
just
need to
calling
get.
to tell you grandma passed away. Like she never got either of those calls. So yeah, so she deletes it without listening, and we are on day 2. So day 2, Rachel records the tape, but the time code, so you can see the time code on the
that was
player.
crazy.
And it starts going all wonky and showing wrong numbers and
Not even just like not even numbers. Yes, symbols and stuff. Yeah, not even actual time code.
So she pauses the tape while there's a fly on screen, and the fly keeps moving. And then she shows Noah the copy. She takes to him to look at the copy, but the time code on that is screwed up too, which he tells her, he's like, that's not even possible.
Right. It's not.
He's like, this is a fresh tape. Like it wouldn't pull the wrong time code from another tape. It can't. Like it can't do it. And then Noah's assistant Beth shows up. This is his current girlfriend.
Oh, right.
He's about to show Beth the tape, and Rachel just grabs it and leaves.
Yeah, I gotta go. She's like, I'm out of here, right?
And she and Noah fight a little bit about it. And this is when we realize, like, oh, okay, they have romantic baggage.
Right. She keeps telling him he needs to grow up and everything.
He still needs to grow up. He's still acting like a child. Right. We also get the picture later on that Beth, the girlfriend, is his student also. Like he's a professor and she's his student. So like I think she's sort of being like, what's wrong with you? Like you can't stop dating these younger women. Like so she's clearly pissed off at him for not taking responsibility, which is their relationship at this moment.
Yeah. Whatever.
And then she goes outside. And outside the building, she sees a ladder against the wall, and it's the ladder from the tape.
Yeah. See, what she'll see. That reminded me of like a scene from The Ninth Gate. Remember when he sees the things that fall down from him when he's outside that bookstore and stuff like that?
Yes.
That made me think. It didn't really remind me, but it made me think of that.
Yes.
That came to my mind when I saw that.
Yeah. Very like symbolic and like
foreshadowing
foreshadowing, but also like you're making these connections that definitely. So she sees the ladder and the guys, the handyman comes out and says, oh, careful, don't want to step under that, you get bad luck.
Right.
So now we're on day 3 and Rachel visits Becca, Katie's friend from the opening scene. Yeah. Becca is in a mental hospital,
which would be which is pretty appropriate because that's probably where I would have ended up too.
Oh yeah, she's not okay.
No,
not okay at all. And Rachel tries to get her to tell her about the tape.
She's not saying a word.
And she says, Becca, please, I need to know. And
Becca you'll says, know in 4 days or whatever, right? Yeah,
she'll show you.
Yeah,
you will. She'll show you.
That's not good.
It's not good. This is another, even though she's a teenager, I'm going to put this in kid being creepy. Creepy kid is creepy.
Yeah, but whatever, yeah.
It's not the same creepy kid, but it is kind of a creepy kid being creepy.
It's scary. Yes.
So then Rachel goes to the video lab to see if she can stretch the film. Because she and Noah had managed to stretch it a little bit before when they were looking at the copy, and they could see a little bit more of something on the edge of the frame.
She's trying to find the very edge, the handles on the very edge of the tape.
Yeah, the very edge of what's on the tape where it might not show on the TV because you shoot with film, it goes out a little farther than the TV sometimes shows. So she's trying to stretch the film so she can see it all. And she finally gets it stretched as far as she can. And she sees a lighthouse.
That was pretty interesting, huh?
Oh, yeah.
And she's making photos of all these.
Yeah, and she's making screenshots of these. Yeah, and she pauses on the fly again. And this time, the fly's wings sort of twitch a little again.
Yeah.
And she reaches up to touch it. And she grabs the fly right out of the film.
And you're kind of like, ugh.
And...
I know. Like something's weird.
So the lighthouse, she goes to the library, she finds it, it's on Moesco Island.
And of course she finds it in like 5 minutes. Get the hell out of here. Like you're going to find, come on.
I imagine that it took
me.
her hours.
I know, but it's
and
they
that was
condensed
most
the shots.
of day
I get
3.
it. I get it, but it's a little too. I mean, that would have taken me years to find that.
My imagination says that she was at the video lab for like 2 hours, and then she was at the library for like 6 hours.
And she probably, in fairness, looked for lighthouses in Washington State where they live, so she narrowed the search. She's not stupid, so maybe she did find it quickly.
So it's in Oregon, actually.
Was it in Oregon? Okay, all right, close enough.
It's in Oregon. Well, the lighthouses. I don't know where she lives, but the lighthouse.
No, they live in. They takes place in Seattle.
Okay, so they're in Washington. The lighthouse is in Oregon.
Okay. Yeah.
But so sorry, I'm sorry.
With a bad portrayal.
The real lighthouse is in Oregon.
Okay.
Moesco Island isn't a real place.
No.
But the real lighthouse is the Yaquina Head Lighthouse.
You know what?
Which is in Newport, Oregon.
I have been in my many travels to that wonderful state of Oregon. I need to put it on the list. I need to go there now.
Yeah. Yaquina Head Lighthouse.
Yeah.
So here's a cool thing about it.
I'll go.
Here's a cool thing about that lighthouse. It was built in 1873. It's still currently an active lighthouse.
Okay. I'm going to go check this out.
And it's reputed to be haunted by the ghost of a past keeper.
And of the ghost from the ring. Yes. Okay. I'll be there.
And the ring.
I'll be there. It's on the list.
And the ring. So in the movie, the lighthouse is on Moesco Island.
Yes.
And she finds the Lighthouse Historical Society picture and sees the woman who is on the tape in one of the weird shots in the tape, brushing her hair in the mirror.
Yes.
And that woman is named Anne Morgan.
Yes.
And Rachel discovers also that she rides horses.
At a horse farm.
And then she has a horse farm. She finds these references to a mysterious horse illness and drownings and Anna Morgan's suicide. And then as she's studying all this stuff, she looks down and realizes she's scratching someone's face out.
Yeah, on the picture.
On the page.
Right. That's crazy.
Just like Katie had been doing. So that's creepy. So here's somewhere I missed day 4, but now we're on day 5.
We're just moving, like I said, in these they have these old games on ESPN. Due to time constraints, we moved ahead in our broadcast.
Yeah. I must have missed the title card for day 4, but presumably it's in there somewhere. I must have blinked and missed it. Now we're on day 5. Noah sees his face distorted in a convenience store security camera.
He looks up and
he's just buying something. He looks up and he's
freaks out, right? Yeah. He
out. Oh yeah. The girl's he pays the stuff. She's like, do you need a bag? He's like, no. And just and
that was weird.
Trying to hide his head from the security camera. Right. And so he just runs out of the convenience store. So Rachel gets home late that night. She wakes up the babysitter who's fallen asleep in front of the TV.
All right.
Which again, just more TV static. So she calls Ruthie to watch Aiden, her sister Ruthie, to watch Aiden while she goes upstate.
Oh, and this scene is
and
weird.
While she's on the phone with her, she starts coughing.
Yeah. And then,
I can't say it.
She starts yanking. Oh, that was...
She coughs up this hair, and she just starts pulling, and it's this long strand of brown hair. It is not her hair.
No.
It is.
And while she has her sister on the phone...
hair, guys, it's not her hair.
When she has her sister on the phone, she's freaking out hey, this isn't funny. This isn't what are you... stop making a joke about this. Yeah.
No, it's so gross.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty.
And then she goes to check on Aiden, and she sees a girl in a chair, sitting in a chair in his room. And she walks in there, and the girl grabs her arm, and she wakes up startled, like she's been asleep this whole time. And she has a handprint on her arm.
Yeah.
Like a burn mark handprint. And so she hears a noise, and she goes to the living room to see what's going on. And Aiden is watching the tape.
She freaks out.
Creepy little boy is creepy and watches the tape.
Yes, he is.
So Noah calls, And he tells Rachel he's taken a ton of photos of himself and now he believes her. And she says he watched the tape. He says, who watched the tape? Our son. So that's when you first find out officially that Aiden is her and Noah's son.
That's when I was informed of it. I hadn't thought of it before that. So yeah, it didn't matter.
Yeah, like I just kind of thought she was like an ex-boyfriend.
Whatever.
Or a guy who she'd been friends with for a long time, but they kind of liked each other, but couldn't get it together. But no, he's her ex. They have a kid together. He's not really in the kid's life. Like, at least not much.
No, not a lot.
So day 6, Aiden and Noah, Aiden is taking Rachel to the lighthouse. And Rowan I can't say names today, you guys. Noah is taking Rachel to the lighthouse and they're going to drop Aiden off. So she is like getting ready and Aiden and Noah have this like moment in the car where it's like Aiden like makes it clear that he knows that Noah is his dad.
Right.
But like, it's okay. It's really awkward.
Yeah, well, they wanted to throw that in there. It's okay.
Yeah, it's just a really awkward scene where again, this child is like far too grown up for the real world.
A terrifying young man.
Yeah. So they drop Aiden off with Rufy. They head up to Moesco Island. Rachel goes to the lighthouse and Noah goes to the mental hospital where Anna Morgan had been before she committed suicide.
The hunt is on.
So Rachel has to take a ferry. And on the ferry, she reads this newspaper article about Anna Morgan's daughter having a horse riding accident. So she's like, oh my God, she had a daughter. Because she's like reading through all her stuff. And there's a horse in a trailer and she tries to pet it, but it completely fucking panics.
Wild.
It loses its mind. It
Busts
kicks
out.
its way out of the trailer, runs across the ferry and leaps to its death in the water.
And a brutal, they didn't hold anything back. That poor horse.
Oh God. And the little girl and her dad she's like, where's my horse?
They
and
did
like
not
they go
hold
and they
back
find it
on that.
and it goes off one end of the ferry and they all rush to the other end of the ferry behind the ferry and look out because it goes off the front end and they rush to the back end and look out and you see just blood come
like it's
out in the water.
Just watching the horse like try to swim, you feel bad just like on that part of it. And then you see that it hits once it hits the prop or whatever on there, it's lights out.
Yeah, they did not pull any punches with that. It was hard to watch.
Yeah, that was intense. Whew, man.
It was hard to watch.
You got a runaway horse like that?
Not a horror movie, y'all.
But then,
so says Matt.
Then think about, would you try to hold back a runaway horse on a freaking ferry? I sure wouldn't jump in. I wouldn't know what to do.
No, you couldn't. They're too strong.
Wild animal, dude. Yeah. So anyway.
Noah's at the mental hospital. He tries to get the nurse to show him Anna Morgan's records. And she won't, but the orderly accidentally gives away the records room is downstairs.
So I wonder, does that mean Noah's really smart asking that, or is the orderly just a dumbass just blurts things out?
Noah was like totally fishing. Like he's like, but I've been up there before, and the orderly's like, well, obviously you haven't because it's downstairs. And he's like,
right. But that's the thing about it. That orderly. Why would you even respond to him? Right? Why would you even say anything? I don't even get that. It's so stupid.
That orderly's an idiot.
I know, whatever. I'm just,
So
I'm thinking too logically.
You're right. That orderly is a dumbass.
Why would you say anything?
So he gives away the records from downstairs. So Noah goes and breaks in and finds out that the daughter was at the mental hospital.
And he finds all his records about them trying to conceive all these, and miscarriages.
Yeah, he finds
all
these crazy records
right.
that Anna couldn't have kids. They tried and they couldn't have kids. And then they finally had her. And now the daughter's at the mental hospital. So Rachel arrives at the ranch. So she is going to the ranch where Anna Morgan lived on Moesco Island. And she finds Mr. Morgan, played by Brian Cox, who is also a wonderful actor and just
I draw a blank. I don't know him.
he's just I can't even. He's just been in a ton of stuff. He's
Okay.
amazing. Look him up at
I'll
some
look him
point.
up.
He's fantastic.
All right.
So she finds him outside. Brian Cox, by the way, turned down a role in Ghost Ship to do The Ring instead.
That was a good move because Ghost Ship is a giant piece of garbage.
I wholeheartedly agree.
By the
Doing
way,
Ring
we're
instead
not
of Ghost
reviewing.
Ship,
We're not reviewing that movie ever.
very good idea.
Ever.
Oh my God, no, we have to.
No, it'll be such a waste of time.
Oh, we have to. I love it for how awful it is.
It's pretty bad, but we need to worry about that right now. But we're just mentioning that.
We
It's
won't
pretty
run
crappy.
out of things anytime soon. So
It's pretty crappy. Now, if you request it, viewers, we'll do it for you. But otherwise, we have no plans.
request it, viewers.
We have no plans otherwise.
So Mr. Morgan takes Rachel up to the house and she sees the mirror where you see Anna's reflection in the tape.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But he doesn't want to talk to her. And so she gets outside the house. She realizes that it's the house in the picture that her son drew earlier that day.
It's all
And
coming
so
together.
it's all like, just all these things are like
Right.
starting to come together. So now she calls Aiden, and we see Aiden is like just sitting in their living room on the floor or something. He's drawing the ring now, or he's in his aunt's living room. He's drawing the ring, just like circles and circles and circles and circles and circles and dark and black and circles. So Rachel calls and she asks him where he saw the house that he drew. And she says, well, because she told me to. Or why did you draw it? He says, because she told me to. She says, who told you to? And he says, the little girl. Mm-hmm. And then he says, and this creeped me out so bad, she doesn't like it in the barn. The horses keep her up at night.
Right. It's like some crazy line that, is going to have like significant meaning from here on out.
Right. You're already like, oh.
What does this mean? Right.
Like, I haven't even seen anything in the barn. I don't want to.
I don't want to go.
So Rachel goes to the island's doctor to ask about the Morgan's daughter.
She doesn't want to talk to anybody either. Yeah.
But the doctor tells her that she tells the doctor, Rachel tells the doctor, I'm seeing things. I think it's because of the girl. And the doctor says, well, that's the first time I've heard that in a long time.
Yeah, she knows what's going on.
And tells her that Anna started seeing really horrible things after they brought home their daughter, Samara. So she tells Rachel that she assumes Samara is still at the mental hospital on the mainland. Like, as far as she knows, she's still there. By the way, this is the first time we hear the name Samara.
Yep.
Do you know what Samara refers to?
Like, who is it named after, or
like what was she named for?
I don't know.
So there's a couple theories I found.
Okay.
One is that the name means protected by God.
Okay.
And so they could have named her that because she's like maybe not quite human.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And then the other one is that it could refer to a Mesopotamian story that was retold by William Somerset Maugham.
Okay.
As Appointment in Samara, about a man who meets death in the marketplace and flees the town of Samara.
I'm going to take the Mesopotamian story.
So okay.
I'm gonna go
I'll buy that. I'll buy the Mesopotamian story. So we're saying the author's pretty highbrow here. We'll go with it. All right, guys, you heard it here. Appointment in Samara.
Chalk it up.
So Noah then is still looking through the records at the insane asylum, and he asks the records manager, who just talks to this dude who appeared out of the back of the records room.
Yeah.
Again, what are the people who work at this insane asylum
They're
doing?
crazy too.
So he asked to see the tape of Samara's sessions, and the guy's like, oh, okay. And then they go, and it isn't there.
Well,
now
he tells him what his name is.
Noah tells the records manager that he's her father, Richard Morgan, and it's not there. And he goes, well, it's not there. Well, who checked it out?
You.
According to this, you did.
I love that.
So yeah, so he's in trouble now, and the tape is gone. Rachel then sneaks back into the Morgan house now that she knows that like crazy shit's going on at the Morgan house and the barn thing. And yeah, she's like, so she goes back to the Morgan house and she finds the session tape in Mr. Morgan's things.
Mm-hmm.
And so she watches it and we see, and this is, they say to Samara, well, you don't want to hurt anyone. And she says, but I do. And I'm sorry. It won't stop. And then she tells him that her daddy wants her to go away. So, yeah.
She's got problems.
Instance number, what number are we on? 87?
She's got problems.
Creepy child is creepy.
Yeah. She's way more than creepy.
I feel like she and Aiden kind of deserve each other.
Oh my goodness, right? Wow.
So Mr. Morgan comes back and finds her there, and he whacks her with the lamp, like just whacks her upside the head, and then runs away. And she follows him to the bathroom where he electrocutes himself.
Oh, he doesn't just do that. He does it up. That dude, my man, is ready. He's got like extension
Oh my
cords.
God. He's got all
the bathtub full of water.
He's got the outlet around his neck. He has the wires up to
ready.
The horse bridle,
oh
and he puts
God.
the metal bit in his mouth. Like, and then he doesn't just like flop around in the bathtub or nothing. No. He blows that shit up.
Yeah. Dude, this guy is not taking a chance of screwing this up and living to regret it.
The bathroom just explodes and sparks and
he's
shit.
going out. He's going out.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So
I gotta give him credit.
Know why
That's
he
effort
whacked
right
her in the lamp just to have her follow him up there to electrocute himself. But that's what he did. He's weird. He's not thinking right. I don't know.
I will give him credit for that is a thorough following through with something. That's for sure.
He has follow through.
Yep.
This is accurate.
He was not going to fail at this task.
So she's like freaking out because he's just electrocuted himself, and Noah runs up the hall behind her. So he's found her now. Gone to pick her up there, I guess. And so they go to the barn on the Morgan's land to find Samara. And they get in there and the barn's empty. There's no horses anymore. She's already talked to him about how they don't have horses anymore. So there's a ladder running up to the loft, and they climb up it and they find a really old little girl's room.
Mm-hmm.
And it has a TV.
Right.
And they notice something burned under the wallpaper, and they start peeling it off. And it's this huge tree etched into the wood, or like burned into the wood.
Yeah. Cool.
And it's the tree by the cabin at Shelter Mountain Inn.
Yep.
So it's that same Japanese maple. So Noah and Rachel go to the inn. They go back to the inn. Now, this time there's a sign that reads closed until further notice. Apparently that's because there was a side plot originally where like the cabin manager watches the tape, and he's had watched the tape at some point and he already died from it. So that's why it's closed, because he's dead. But they go back to the inn. They go to cabin 12, and there's this like low damp spot in the floor that they notice. So they break through it.
Yep.
And they find an old well.
Mm-hmm.
And they open the lid, and all these flies swarm up, and Rachel falls in the well, and the TV like goes in after her and like whaps her on the head or something. I don't know. But she goes down.
Weird stuff starts happening. Yes.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like a Rube Goldberg thing when the flies swarm up and the TV hits her and she goes down the well.
Mm-hmm.
And Noah goes to find something to get her out with, and she notices claw marks on the wall. And then she finds a fingernail.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
It's kind of like the pit in Silence of the Lambs a little bit, right?
Oh.
Just filled with water this time.
And thank you for that illusion, because
No
that'll be
problem.
in my head all week.
Hey, great movie, no problem.
So the fingernail on the wall, though, also goes back to the tape, because there's the scratching nail that's like you watch it peeling up. I can't. You watch it peeling up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Unsettling.
So she's under there, and he's going to look to find something to get her out, and the lid slides back over the well, and then Samara's hand reaches up out of the water and grabs her arm.
Well, first you see her hair, right? The black hair, right? And then she comes up and grabs her.
Yeah, and she grabs her. Yeah, you see the hair first.
Right.
Yeah. And it's the hair that came out of
and then
Rachel's mouth
you make
earlier
that
in the movie.
connection. Yeah, I know.
So gross. So we flash back to Anna Morgan,
like
putting
the
bag.
It was like the nasty hair from House of the Devil. Remember when they find in the bathtub?
Oh yes. No, why?
Right.
Why with the hair people?
Because hair is gross. That's why.
His hair is gross.
It's gross.
You're absolutely right.
And it bothers us. Yes.
You're absolutely right, because it gives me the willies.
There you go. See?
So we flash back to Anna Morgan putting a bag over Samara's head and throwing her in the well.
I mean, when kids
tries to be nice about it.
When kids misbehave, you throw in wells.
Oh, and I know you don't mean to.
And this child is not going to be like the ones you see on the news getting rescued out of a well either. That's not going to happen with her.
No, they just build a cabin over her.
They sure do.
That's what they do.
That's how it goes.
So we go back to Rachel. She looks at her arm, and the hand-shaped burn has faded now, and she's holding Samara's body in her arms. And Noah gets there, and he yells down, and she had been telling him that she was going to die at sunset, because that's when she watched the videotape
and the
7
prior.
days ago.
Right.
So he yells down and he tells her, it's past sunset. It's past sunset.
It's all good.
And she lets Samara go. And so she's lived. She's made it. And the police come to get the body. She's fixed things, right? She's found the dead body. All the things have come together. And I love one of the police officers says, I can't imagine being stuck down in a well like that. How long could you survive? And she says, 7 days. You could survive for 7 days.
Right.
So they pick up Aiden and they go back home. Noah leaves. Rachel takes a shower, and we get a close up on the drain, which is they have a lot of circles throughout the movie. So the drain is just another one of those like circles.
Now that's when you were saying hair grosses you out. I don't like drains. Drains kind of give me the creeps.
Ooh, yeah, they can be creepy.
Yeah,
and drains often get hair clogged in them.
They're
which
gross.
Is double gross and creepy.
Yeah, they're gross. Exactly.
Yeah, totally. So the next morning, Aiden wakes up and Rachel's like laying down with him, and he asks, well, what happened to the girl? He says, is she still in the dark place? And she says, no, we set her free. And he says, you helped her? You're not supposed to help her.
Mom, what are you, nuts?
Yeah, like, and this is where I love it, because they have you convinced. They're like, they do the whole thing up to the very like last scene of like what would be the end of any other movie. And then he's like, you helped her. You're not supposed to help her.
Right.
And so we're back with Noah. He's working in his loft, and his TV turns to static. And then the well. And then we see the well. And Rachel calls, but he's watching Samara climb out of the well.
Sure is.
And then out of the TV.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is some amazing horror film, because it's a horror film cinema. It's so good. Like, it's just so well done.
It's not something you see often, that's for sure.
No, that is definitely
you don't
for sure.
see that.
So Rachel's like on the phone, like still trying to call him on her cell phone. She's like driving his apartment, and she gets there, but she's too late.
Yep.
She's just too late. He's gone. And so she goes back home, and she puts the tape in the fire, and then she realizes, why she didn't die. It wasn't because she helped the girl and so nobody was going to die anymore. It was because she made a copy. So she grabs Aiden and she takes him to the video recording studio, and she gets him to make a copy so that they can give it to someone else. And I love this. He says, but what about the next person who watches it? And that's it.
And that's the last line, right? Yeah. She doesn't
Yep,
even
that's
answer.
the last
Right.
line of the movie.
Yep.
So yeah, so I quite enjoy it. I actually think it's a really well constructed.
Was that the first time you'd seen it just recently?
That is the first.
Oh,
time
you said you would watch like pieces
all
of it
the
or
way
something.
through. I've
Right.
watched pieces of it, but that's the
Okay.
first time I've seen it
Okay.
all the way through.
Okay.
And really sat down, like paid attention. Because I've like been around
Right.
and like popped in on parts of it. But yeah, that's the first time I've really watched it all the way through. And I think it really it folds together very nicely, each bit. The connections that you make, they're all very well done. Yeah, I think it's actually really a good movie. Not just a good horror movie. I think it's a good movie.
Yeah. There's things I like about it. Maybe it's going too far to say it's not a scary film. I guess, it is. It has disturbing imagery in it. And I mean, the basic plot of it is there's too much going on. The story is too much. They need to tone that down some. There's just way too much happening.
Oh, see, I kind of loved how much was going on.
But that's why I said not so much horror, because when I'm watching, I'm almost thinking like I'm watching a thriller almost. Or like a whodunit almost in a way.
I can see that. I feel like
but there's just there's too much to it. I just think there's too much to it.
The pacing is very thriller-esque.
Right. Yeah.
As opposed to horror movie. It's not like a slasher.
No,
or anything like that.
No, it's an intelligent movie. And like you said, it is well done. It is smart. It has a good idea. The story is fine. I just think it's too much. I just think it's too much. But I like the style of it. You remember back when they were making these movies, they had, what did they call it? Like the bleach bypass look or something. Where
I was actually going to say that the blue-green color grading, I really like.
They want to make Seattle look, look, Seattle is a dreary place, not all the time, but I mean.
But they also, I think, wanted to make everything look watery.
Oh yeah, of course. No doubt. So atmosphere was very cool. Setting was very cool. I like that a lot. They did a good job. The actors are pretty good.
And when they were doing this color grading, it was really early on, I think, in that fad, if you will. It was one of the early movies to do that.
Yeah. And that was a big thing. That became a huge look.
And now the water thing too, because in Ringu, I believe they make it clear that, because this was something that came up that I felt was kind of clear, was there's a point where the mom, Anna Morgan, is talking about how like she wanted a kid so bad, but like this isn't what she wanted.
Okay.
Or something. And I thought, oh man, she made like a deal with the devil to get that kid.
Sure.
And apparently in the original, she has actually like gone and been impregnated by like a water spirit, a water demon of some sort, like in Japanese mythology. And so that's all that water. It's not just the well, it's all of that. It's so much water.
And I like that a lot. This guy did a good job. He did. Yeah. And now it's funny to talk about that filters they would put on that. Now, any editing software you have, that's a built-in filter there.
Right.
It's gonna be in your Premiere. It's gonna be in your Final Cut. It's gonna be in all those now. And now you just drop it in.
That right on there.
Yeah, and I used to mess with it, and I had to spend hours trying to figure out how to do this right. Taking the second layer on top, changing this color. So yeah, very cool. It opened. And one thing I think is cool is that this was the first one. Then was this the first American movie then to start taking these Japanese remakes?
I think it was the one that kind of started it, yeah.
Because there's the Grudge,
Then there's the Ju-on, the Ju-on, the Grudge.
So you have all those, and so you have then you have these, because Japanese horror is intense. Have you ever seen like movies like Audition or anything like that?
If this wasn't the first, it was one of the, oh God, Audition.
Yeah,
Woo.
so that stuff is not for the faint of heart. A lot of these.
We're gonna have to do that one day, and I'm nervous about it.
And a lot of them are ghost stories. So this is similar to it, I suppose. No, I mean, look, it's well done.
So I think another thing that may make it feel less like a horror movie to you, though, too, is that almost the entire thing takes place during the day.
Yeah.
Very little of it is actually at night.
I don't know that I thought much about that, though, because the way they color it and the way they film,
Yeah, but I think that gives it
because I've been
interesting feel to it, that you're like, to me, I think that makes it a little bit scarier even.
Yeah, because the natural progression of a horror film from light to dark, and instead this is all just right.
And the oogie boogie, the bad is not confined to the dark.
Sure. Oh yeah, it's definitely right. Yeah, no, you're right. I think that's probably
like a movie in pitch black, where as soon as you have light, you're safe.
Right. Of course. Yeah, of course.
There's also, we mentioned the circles being like all over the movie. This was apparently not the case in the book.
Okay.
So the author, Suzuki, said that the title...
When did he write the book? Do you know? When did he write it?
I think a few years before.
So late 90s?
I don't think it was a lot before.
Okay. I'm just curious how old it was.
But so he said that the title, The Ring, it doesn't refer to seeing a ring or the well as the ring. It refers to the cyclical nature of the curse, because the only way the viewer can survive after watching it is to copy the videotape and pass it on.
Sure.
So it makes it a circle of watching everybody having to pass it around.
It's like fashion. It's cyclical, right?
Right. It's cyclical. Let's see. Another thing I learned that apparently, I did not do this, but apparently now I want to. If you play the deaths frame by frame, in each death, every image from the tape appears for a split second during the death.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's true. I haven't tested it. Guys, let us know.
Yep. Now you're going to have to do it.
Let us know if you see it, if this is true, but that's what we heard.
So I think the other two things for me about it, that is actually interesting. I like that. Is that, so above all, like I said, I think the movie's fine. It's good. But maybe I am alone on this one, but I'm sorry. Her crawling out of that television does not frighten me. I don't find that terrifying. It's not scary to me.
I don't.
Now watching the tape, that was disturbing. That kind of gave me the chills. But her crawling out of the TV, I was just like, okay, cool.
I thought it was
visual effects. It's badass.
Visually really cool.
Yes, that part's great. But people have been saying for years, like, oh my God, it's so terrifying when she comes. No, not really. Like I said, the part that scared me was that girl's face in the closet. That was scary.
Yeah, I was supposed to say, I think there are other things about the movie that scared me a lot more.
Yeah, her crawling out, because they list that scene in all these like scary movie moments of her crawl. It just does not do anything for me.
I think it's iconic.
Yeah, yes, it is.
Because it was the first time something like that was really done.
That's a good way to put it.
I think it's very iconic. I don't think it's, and I
don't find it scary.
Maybe it was scarier when you, like, if you saw it at night when it first came out and you
would never
about it.
But I remember even when I first saw it, not being scared by that scene though. I don't know. That's just me. That's whatever.
Yeah, but I think it depends. On the person. I mean, that scene did not scare me hugely, but also I was more scared by the whole idea of it all.
I mean, imagine if you watched the tape and they said you were going to like that. That's very scary. The plot is scary. Yes.
Well, and the way of dying. Yeah. And her in the closet and like just,
right.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, no, well done. Well thought of. It was done. A lot of thought went into each piece, how it was made.
Yeah.
So he took his time with it. And I mean, it shows.
So you'll like this because we were talking about David Lynch at the beginning. David Lynch was offered to direct the movie before Gore Verbinski.
I could see. So, I mean, look, Twin Peaks is one of my my favorite shows ever. It is so, again, iconic, I guess is the word you just used for it.
Yeah.
Some of his stuff makes no sense whatsoever. And I don't care what you say, but I mean, the guy is talented. He's an interesting person. We'll just say that.
I think it would have been a very different movie if it was. Imagine this movie directed by
it would have been
David
cool.
Lynch and starring Jennifer Connelly.
It would have somehow involved aliens or something, and who even knows what would have happened? Some theory of how mankind was created, or I don't know. But
so also the inimitable Hans Zimmer did the music for this movie.
Oh, I mean, he does tons of stuff, right?
He does tons of stuff, and this was apparently the first movie that he did it. The first time he did it for Verbinski.
Okay.
And he's done it for almost every one of his films since then. So they must have really liked working with each other.
Good. Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah.
There's like what, 2 or 3 other sequels. I've never seen them.
I haven't seen any of the sequels.
This is a movie for me that I don't need a sequel for. I don't need more of the story. I'm good.
Yeah, I don't feel like they'll stand up.
I'm not interested. I'm not interested in where the story goes. Like my interest is for this, and I'm done. Yeah, that's all I need.
I would watch them, but I doubt that they will be as good as this movie. I mean, it's a very well-made movie, and I don't think that I doubt that they could get the money and the creative team behind a sequel to make it as good as this.
I'm sure they've made money, though. They were profitable.
Okay, so here's the big question.
Okay.
Who would you be in this movie?
There's only one character I could be, and also I kind of am that character. It's the dude Noah, and he runs. What is he? He's like a video producer anyway, isn't he? Yeah,
Noah. Yeah. I think he is. He's either a video producer or I think he's a video producer.
Yeah, he does something. So that I already have his job, and what other
and you're already wildly immature.
Some would say. I mean, it's either him or the little kid, and I definitely don't want to be the little kid.
I was thinking I'd probably be the super creepy little kid. Honestly, I am not a Rachel.
Okay.
I wish. I don't think I'm a Rachel though. Oh no, maybe.
I definitely don't want to be the guy that kills himself in the bathtub either. I don't want to be that guy.
Maybe I would be Beth, the student girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
No, wait, let's not do that. Let's not go there.
We never find out what happens to her. She just kind of, that's why I never understood the point of her anyway. She shows up once and then she's gone. Like we never see her again, right?
I think she's only there for them to fight about.
Okay, fair enough. It moves, she moves the story along. Okay.
I think she's part of establishing their relationship.
Okay.
No, I'm going to go with, I think I would be Aiden. I think I would be the creepy, preternaturally grown up kid. I think
Terrifying.
I kind of was an overly grown up kid when I was little. So there we go. All right. So guys, you're going to hear it again. You hear it every time before we go.
Oh, and you should start doing the people now.
Wait, what should I start doing?
Well, our listeners too. Start prank calling people and saying 7 days.
7 days. You can just email us and say 7 days.
It won't be as scary. You need to call me.
We'll have to, you know what? We'll have to get a Google Voice number at some point so people can call us and leave us voice messages.
There you go. Yes.
Oh, that would be so much fun. Okay, we'll have to do that at some point.
Oh, that's fine.
But for now, email us at thescarymovieproject@gmail.com. Give us your movie suggestions, your thoughts on the movies we've watched so far. Tell us we have 7 days. Whatever. You do see, dreams do come true, guys. When you ask us to review a movie, we will get to it. We may not do it immediately, but we will review a movie if you ask us to, just like we did for our dear friend Amy.
We're kind of like Disney World. We make your dreams come true.
Yes, we will make your dreams come true, guys. Your horrific, terrifying, awful dreams.
That we can do.
So do that. Email us at thescarymovieproject@gmail.com. And then if you can review us and rate us on iTunes or wherever you're listening, we would appreciate it so much because that helps people find us. It really does make a difference. So if you can take a minute to do that, we would appreciate it a whole heck of a lot. So peace out.
Until next time.
The Scary Movie Project podcast is produced by Tara Garwood and Matt Lolich. Learn more at thescarymovieproject.com.